Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a concept in the employee benefit space that, honestly, feels a little paradoxical at first glance. We're looking at a program making a massive claim that you can actually increase your employees' take-home pay and give them premium healthcare perks, all at literally zero extra net cost to the employer. I mean, it kind of sounds like corporate magic, right? But today, we're going to decode the actual mechanics behind this using the Unify Wellness Plan as our source, just to see exactly how this whole thing ticks on paper and in practice. But first, to get why this strategy even exists, we have to look at the baseline problem. And it basically comes down to one really stark number, 33. Right now, about 33%, so roughly 1 in 3 employees are completely skipping medical care simply because their out-of-pocket costs are just too high. It's a massive gap. And meanwhile, on the employer side, HR teams are totally buried in traditional insurance paperwork, companies are overpaying for benefits nobody's even using, and turnover is spiking as people leave to find better health care. Traditional insurance is necessary, for sure, but it is clearly leaving some major gaps.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this is exactly where UnifyWell drops its core hook. They're basically asking, what if you could save thousands of dollars every year just through payroll tax reductions, and then turn around and use those exact savings to fund premium, $0 healthcare benefits? And the real kicker? What if you could pull all this off without adding any new costs or replacing your current plan and broker? It's super natural to be skeptical whenever you hear the phrase zero net cost, so we really need to dig into the structural mechanics making this possible.
Which brings us to our first section, the tax-saving strategy. Now, what's really interesting about this setup is that it shows this isn't magic at all. It's just a brilliant structural pivot. In the traditional setup, employees are getting hit with high out-of-pocket costs, and the employer's payroll taxes are just static. They don't do anything for you. But the UnifyWell route flips that. You keep your existing group plan right where it is, but by layering this program on top, it triggers tax savings, and those savings are immediately redirected to fund $0 supplemental benefits for the team. So you're literally turning a static tax cost into an active funding machine.
Now, obviously, the second we talk about redirecting tax dollars, the very first question is about compliance. The entire framework here is built on established IRS-approved strategies, specifically Internal Revenue Code Sections 105, 106, 125, and 213D. The whole structure has been heavily vetted by top ERISA law firms, and it's fully ISO and HIPAA compliant. It's really this specific foundation, especially Section 125, that lets companies safely unlock these pre-tax efficiencies.
So what does that actually look like in dollars and cents? On average, employers utilizing this strategy are saving about $600 per employee every single year just in FICA taxes. Think about that for a second. If you multiply that $600 by 10, 50, or even 500 employees, you are suddenly sitting on a massive pool of capital that used to just be a sunk tax liability.
And that leads perfectly into our next section, a win for everyone. Because that newly unlocked tax capital, that is the absolute engine for this whole program. It translates into real, tangible wins on both sides of the paycheck. For employers, you're looking at annual FICA savings of $300 to $680 per person, completely hands-off compliance, and zero disruption, because again, you keep your current broker. But for the employees, it's huge. They actually get higher take-home pay, plus 24/7 virtual primary care and nationwide generic meds, both with a $0 copay. The employer's tax savings are quite literally paying for the employee's virtual care and medications.
All right, let's take a look at some real-world evidence.
Theory is great and all, but does this actually work when it hits a real payroll system? Absolutely, and this brilliantly illustrates the point. Brandon Zora, the owner and CEO over at Black Tiger Medical Transportation, says his company is seeing annual savings well over $140,000. And maybe even more importantly, he says his employees absolutely love it. So it's a huge dual victory for both the back office and overall employee satisfaction.
And let's actually scale that data point up a bit. Ronald Moore, the COO and CFO of Safety Net Inc., went on the record saying this program was, quote, instrumental in sustaining our business. He reports they are achieving annual savings of over $500,000. Framing it as a $500,000 savings figure really proves this isn't just a neat little trick for small teams. It's a highly scalable strategy for incredibly successful, large-scale deployment.
Which brings us to implementation, seamless setup, and compliance.
Normally, when you hear $500,000 in savings, you automatically assume this setup is going to take a year and completely overwhelm your HR department. But the onboarding here is just a two-phase process. Phase 1 is all about projection and proof. After a free consultation, they take your actual payroll data under an NDA and analyze it. You aren't just guessing what your savings might be, you get a totally custom proposal based entirely on your real numbers.
Then, if the math makes sense, you move to phase 2, onboarding. And the biggest takeaway here is UnifyWell's hands-off promise for the employer. Once the contract is signed, they actually take over the employee communication, socializing the benefits and answering their questions. Then, their experts step in to get the payroll code set up and handle the rollout. They are specifically designed to do the heavy lifting so your HR team doesn't have to.
Plus, the speed of deployment is a major differentiator. Setup and enrollment are usually fully wrapped up in just 4 to 6 weeks. And because this is a supplemental plan, you don't even have to wait around for open enrollment windows. Businesses can literally launch this strategy anytime.
So the crucial point is, we need to look at the critical fine print.
Right, because with any program promising high returns at zero net cost, we have to do a reality check on what this product actually is and what it isn't. Just for absolute objective clarity, the Unify Wellness Plan is a discount healthcare membership program. It is not health insurance, it does not substitute for insurance, and on its own, it does not meet the Affordable Care Act requirements. Members are simply paying providers directly at the time of service to get these discounted rates.
I really want to reiterate how important that distinction is, which is exactly why we see these parameters. This strategy strictly supplements your existing group insurance. It doesn't replace your broker, it doesn't replace your policies, and it has to operate alongside an ACA-compliant minimum essential coverage plan. Also, employee participation is completely optional. Anyone can opt out if they want to, though most stay because of that bump in take-home pay. But at the end of the day, it is strictly an add-on strategy for efficiency.
So, by unpacking the Unify Wellness Plan today, we've seen exactly how tapping into established tax codes can turn a static liability into active, dynamic benefits for your team. It totally challenges the old assumption that giving employees premium perks has to cost the employer more money. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a rather provocative question to chew on regarding your own benefit setup. Based on the structural efficiencies we just decoded, are you leaving tax-advantaged health benefits on the table? It's definitely something worth analyzing. Thanks for hanging out with me for this deep dive.